pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the August 23rd, 2022 Tiverton School Committee meeting. Does anyone sign up for open forum? Okay. I'm going to ask, we are going right to new business, no consent agenda. So first item is item 4A, vote on capital projects to be submitted to the town council. We're getting a lot of echo here. Must be my guitar. Dr. Sankion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of you, I provided you some updated documentation that was originally in your packet. As you're aware, the town council has requested capital projects to be submitted them for their August 29th meeting, and this is to be considered, I believe, using casino revenue like we did in the past. The documents you have in front of you today are a list generated by the building committee pulling from the 5-year capital plan. So you have the 5-year capital plan. It's by each school and by athletics. The building committee reviewed everything that's on the 5-year capital plan and then pulled from that items that, for your consideration, could be submitted to the town council for consideration of projects. I would also suggest to you that this list that the building committee created could also be utilized as a stage 2 submittal to RIDE. As you know, currently we have a stage 1 submitted. It still needs a signature on it. And as you know, a stage 1 is only a request for or an admission that there's a need, and the stage 2 then documents what the need is. So you would then take these projects, you get an architect involved, you'd work on some more poignant costs associated with that, and then it's a 5-year plan, which means once it's submitted, you know, the district would be responsible for only half of the cost. And one of the things that's been debated back and forth is if we keep submitting stage 1, stage 2, every time you submit a stage 2, it's a costly proposition. You only want to do that once. So we've done it once for the projects we're working on right now. And this next submittal really should be a very comprehensive one. So I just bring that to your attention. I think tonight, under your direction, you want to recommend to me the projects you'd like to submit to the town council for their consideration. And then overall, I think it's another conversation when we get back to really think about what a stage 2 submittal could be. So you have the full comprehensive 5-year plan, and you have a list generated by the building committee.
So Peter, if I can just gloss this a little bit, we have sort of 3 groups of potential expenditures, if you will. The first is this document in the blue. That's the entire capital plan for the next 5 years. The second is this list, which the building committee created, which comes to about $4.6 million, 4.5. And of that, we can either submit this directly to the town council, and they can sort of discuss what they would or would not like to fund, I guess, or, you know, how much they would allocate to the schools from the casino money. Or we could actually prioritize this further if that was the committee's, preference.
And I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that in fact the school committee does that you do prioritize this list, that this list was generated more as a stage 2 submittal, not as the final submittal for the building committee. Certainly it's
right.
The school committee's prerogative, but I think you'd want to narrow it down to those key projects that you'd like to see funded, that projects we would be working on next summer.
Unless the town council wanted to allocate $4.5 million to us, which I'm not sure they have on hand to do, but if they wanted to, they theoretically could, I guess. I'll open the floor for discussion, because I think we need to discuss before we make a motion. Ms. Palish?
Thank you. I think I would like to set the priorities here this evening instead of just giving a laundry list of items. I think that was one of the things that, the council did ask for before, is that, they want to see what our priorities are.
Yep.
Are these ranked, Peter, at all? Or
No.
they just, no?
Nope,
Okay.
they're by each level, as you can see, elementary, middle, and
But
high
it's
school.
not
Not on
ranked
the list,
within
no.
the level? Okay.
I would I guess I'll just take this opportunity to say to you, and I think the building committee supports this, our number one recommendation to you would be, number one on the high school list, to renovate the locker rooms. And the reason being, that project is already approved by RIDE, so it's already in that pipeline to reimbursement. And I don't need to express to you the need for that. I mean, the bathrooms, the locker rooms are deplorable. They need to be fixed. So if you were asking me to rank order, and that would be one, and certainly I could go further for you if you'd like.
So I guess, so it looks like the only difference between this one and the one we had in our original packet is the next item, complete all security items, was changed from 92 to 42, is that correct?
That is correct. And if you look at the 5-year capital plan under security for the high school, there's a couple items that have been omitted, or I shouldn't say omitted, been taken off because they already were done at the high school.
Okay, I would just say on the bottom, your 2,307,000 is still half of the old total, not that it matters, but just
On the capital plan,
on the sheet, your 2,307,207 is still half of the old total and not half of this total.
Where are you seeing that?
4,564,913.
The bottom paragraph.
Bottom
Oh, okay.
of the,
I see, okay, all right.
okay.
right here,
Got it. What do you-
that should be half of this.
Oh, on the
It's-
paragraph part?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm
still
sorry,
just
yeah,
half
yeah.
of the old one, that's all, I just
You're right.
happened to notice that.
Right. And that's what we have to fund that, the town has to, the town and schools have to fund that amount to continue to get reimbursement over 5 years.
So, Dr. Sanquioni, and I guess this is for the full committee, I do want to send what we think are our priorities. How much do we want to send? Are we going to send 2 million? Are we going to send 1.5? Are we going to send 2.4? Like, what's the thinking?
So I guess that's a magic number, right? We haven't been given any direction on an amount. I can only express to you that the last allocation was for 2 million. As you know, those are the projects we've been working on for the last year and a half, that most of them are coming near completion. So I don't know if that's a guiding number for you to
So
start.
if I said to you, I want you to rank your top items that would get me to 2 million, starting with the locker room, what would be your others?
So I would go to the elementary, the partitions.
That's the first on the list, correct?
First on
yeah.
the list, elementary.
Okay.
And then I would take anything that said secure, so the bottom 3 in the elementary that have to do with security. I'd go to the middle school and go to their complete all security items, and then I would go to the high school and take their security items.
I don't
So
know how
go through
much-
that again?
I don't know how much that adds up to.
Yeah,
but-
well, I can,
So he would do partitions,
Yeah,
any security Fort Barton, security Pecasset, security Ranger,
yep,
middle school security of 220,
yes,
and all security at the high school of
to
42.
42. So I can give you a total on that.
440, 660, it's about 700,000.
Plus the 1.2, which would be his number one,
The 1.2 being the,
lockers.
oh, yeah.
So, once you have
What
a
did I say,
total,
700,000?
once you have a total for me, Peter,
Yep.
that was my question.
It'd be 1.9, more or less.
If I may.
Yep.
I'm assuming the renovations of the middle school locker rooms are not as significant as a priority?
No, that would be his first priority, is what he said to me.
Oh, I thought you were just
Oh,
regarding the high
no.
school.
Yeah, no, just
Not
high
middle school?
school. He
Just the high
said
school.
just high school, yeah.
Yeah, I would
They're
say-
used a lot more.
Yeah.
Well, the high school is the one that's on already a submission.
So do you, and when I'm done, other people can go. So
So
what
the
was your
total is 1.9 million, 1,900,000, 904,000, 1904000.
Give me that again, 1909.
1904000.
1904000, okay. And that was my question. Thank you, Dr. Larkin.
Okay, Mrs. Pavo?
No, I have nothing. I just had that security question, but he answered it.
Okay, Mr. Dakotas?
Thank you. Okay, the first one is the scoreboard. That's just on here, but that part's already been voted on?
It has, you have actually given us authority to use
fund balance. so
fund
that-
well, no, actually to use budget first, and then at the end of the year to
Right.
ascertain where that money needs to come from.
Okay. So that's still on here for purposes of,
Just to know that it's going to, yeah, so we want to, I think I left, not I think, I know I left this on it because I don't want to forget that I want to submit that to ROD for reimbursement.
okay, okay. After you came to that total of almost 2 million, what would the next thing be? Is it the media center?
Well, I've advocated for those media centers, and certainly that, I would go there at the high school for sure, yes.
So if you had 2.5 million, would that be the next budget item?
I would recommend the media center in this high school as the next item, yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's imperative to take care of our security in light of, events in this, and, yeah.
Okay, Ms. Farnworth?
I have to admit, I completely lost track of what this 1.9, 2.2 million list is made up of, honestly.
I
If we
can-
could have had something on a screen that we could follow, it would have been fantastic as we went through this. But that being said, my number one priority is all of the security items from top to bottom, without a doubt. And I would also, as much as the gym locker rooms at the high school are in deplorable condition, I see that as potentially a larger project. This 5-year capital plan has a number of big-ticket items, and I know we haven't had any specific discussions yet, the town council hasn't, but the building committee has a little bit. The potential for, with the reimbursements that are out there today, we've seen it, right? So many school districts are building new schools. And I'm not suggesting that in the least, but I would prefer that we hold off on for a quote-unquote major renovation, and that would include those locker rooms. Now, I understand that especially the bathrooms are in tough shape, and would certainly leave open the possibility if it made sense to do the bathrooms, but I would prefer we prioritize all of the security items. We've got more bathrooms on here at the middle school, and I know on the 5-year plan, there are even additional bathrooms that haven't even been added to this list. All the single ones, and there was, 6 at the middle school and 12 at the high school, something like that haven't been touched. I mean, we spent the bulk of our funds last year updating bathrooms. Why don't we just get that done? Get the security done, and then even, but to save the educational enhancements, save the athletic facilities, the auditoriums, and any of the other big-ticket items that we can support for perhaps a larger discussion that will never come out of casino funding. There's just not enough of it. That's just my opinion, and if we could at least, before we do take a vote tonight, have a specific list that we know what we're voting on exactly, that would be good.
Okay. Mr. Farley, anything?
Yeah, so, the high school bathrooms, they're not on this list, I presume, because they're already underway. There's no need to provide funding.
Construction will begin this school year at night.
Right. I just wanted to make somewhat of a comment on Ms. Farnworth's comment. I agree with you that security is imperative, but also I think locker rooms are as well. I agree with Dr. Sanchione. There are students who actually feel uncomfortable changing at the moment in the locker rooms, and when that's necessary for gym, which is, a class that's graded and can sort of have, does have effect on your GPA. It's fairly important. But I also agree the bathrooms in the middle school are important. That's all.
Okay.
Can I ask Sam a question?
Yeah, sure.
Specifically, what about the current locker rooms would make folks uncomfortable?
It's just the ones.
Well, I can't exactly speak
Lack
to
of privacy?
I can't speak to the condition of the girls' locker room, but I can tell you the boys' locker room is rather, shall we say, open-planned.
I'm not sure a new locker room will change that, to be honest. Will it?
No, but
I mean, we can take a tour if you folks like to see it again, but again, we have, bathrooms don't work, we have no working showers, so we're putting kids at risk because they can't shower. We have no meeting space, we have no storage space, we have no coach's room, we have no place for our officials. It's an embarrassing situation to come into this school. And I don't want to center this on athletics, because this facility then would support every student in the high school, because everyone's required to take PE under Rhode Island law. And this is going to enhance our physical education. We've been working with our physical education teachers about what this place would look like, what equipment would be in there, how we would enhance physical education. So I see it as an amazing educational enhancement, along with addressing a very sorely needed enhancement for athletics.
Does it fall under educational enhancements for reimbursements?
It does. It will qualify it will get the biggest reimbursement, because we're tying into phys ed.
Any questions from our administrators or from the public? Nope. So, if, to your point, Diane, I think, so again, the security items from the 3 breakdowns comes to about 704, is that what?
Yeah, can I just ask one
Yeah,
more?
sure.
And I apologize
I
for
got
this.
666.
I meant to ask also, the original list that we had did have 92,000 for high school security, and there was 50,000 dropped. Exactly what was that 50K?
There were fob. It was a fob system that we already have in place.
When was that?
I'm sorry?
When was that accomplished?
High school's been fob for a couple of years at least.
So, help me understand this capital plan. When was it, what are the effective years for it?
We started working on this probably a year and a half ago.
The 5-year plan that was submitted to RIDE, what is it effective? From 20,
It was effective last school year,
so it would have been fiscal
Well-
22
22, correct.
through 26, 7. So if the fob work was done beforehand, it should not have been on the capital project at all?
No,
is
and
that-
again, we're working with engineers and RGB and all that to get the stuff done, and there were things that they thought we should have.
Well, it
that-
wasn't part of the casino allocation. I don't think it was ever part of our capital. I'm really just trying to understand. Was it just?
Out of our
it didn't
technology
belong there?
budget. How did we fund it?
Yeah, how
A
did
couple
we
years ago,
fund
out of technology.
Out of tech, okay. All right, thank you.
So the first priority, in your view, Peter, is the renovate the locker rooms in the high school, so 1.2 million.
Yes.
And then you got 666, you said, Deb?
Yeah,
I got
plus
704,
plus
but-
the partitions are 38. I pulled those out. Partitions up at the top, that's not security. That was also part of his
That was his number
1,904,000.
two, though.
Okay.
Are the alarm
I was
panels
just
not
adding
security?
Security, yeah.
So let's actually, yeah, to your point, let's pull out exactly what in this list we're going to count. So,
Starting at the top,
Starting
this
at the
is what
top.
I have, Peter, can you just confirm? Partitions, 38,000.
Yeah. If you can hold on.
Fort Barton Security, 52,000.
What about-
Pecasset Security, 52,000. Ranger Security, 300,000.
what about replace security alarm panel at the top?
No, that isn't one of the, right? That's not one of the, no, that wasn't part of the 194.
You're looking on the 5-year plan, or what was on
No,
this list?
on here, what, you
On
said
here?
all of the security, you said the 52, 52, 300, correct? You didn't
yes.
include the 2 above?
I did not, no.
Yeah, so anything that just said all security items.
Right. So if you go to the 5-year capital plan, each school has a subcategory
Yeah,
security.
just
But no, but
off
we're
of
just-
this sheet.
We're
Right.
just trying to figure out what we're prioritizing.
So 38, 52,
52,
300, 220, 1.2, 42.
Okay. Why is replace security alarm panels not part of security? That sounds like part of security. It's $11,000, it's not that much of the total, but why wouldn't we include that?
mean,
Is the
I'm
security
advocating for
alarm-
everything on this list, so, you know, it's just. sort of-
Right, but if we're prioritizing and we're sort of saying everything that's, you know, it just sort of begs the question. If we're saying everything that's security, we're going to prioritize after the locker rooms, why are we not including replace security alarm panel,
And we can.
parentheses 3? Yeah, I'm just asking why we're not throwing that into the total, because it would seem we should.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Because everything else is renovations, media center, windows, kitchen, scoreboard. That seems like a reasonable,
So 1915739 with that?
So Julie's brought it up on the large screen for you to view.
Thank you, Julie.
And Julie, would you add an item? It's replace security alarm panel. You just put elementary in parentheses, and the total is 11,073.
well, why is replace partitions back up there then?
It's always in there.
It's always been there.
He had that at the beginning,
Part of
number
the,
2.
It's not part of security.
No.
It's not part of security, but
No.
it was part of Peter's recommendation.
Yeah, I mean, again,
okay.
I mean, that's a discretionary item for you to consider. I mean, you've seen the bathrooms at the elementary school, you know the condition of the partitions. We've talked about it pretty extensively, that there's a need to replace them, but again, you know, if you're gonna rank order things, I would, you know, I would put that at the bottom.
Shouldn't we have 42,000 up there for security from the high school?
Yes.
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 Yes. It's unanimous.
I think I grabbed my list back from her before she saw that item.
And Peter, where it says, complete all security items for Barton, if I was the council, I'd want to know what all security items mean. Do we have backup for each of
Yes.
those numbers? Okay, thank you. I know we do. I'm
You do,
just-
it's right on this-
For that, because it's on here.
Yep.
But I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
if,
once you decide, I'll create a
You'll
very
make sure that-
comprehensive document.
okay, good.
So can I ask for a motion that we prioritize these as our recommendation to the town council?
I will make that motion for discussion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so discussion, Mrs. Farnworth.
What about the last 2 bathrooms at the middle school that are on this list?
It's a good question. And I think what I would do, if we sort of say this is our first priority, we also send them, and if you're really generous, or, you know, there's piles of money laying around, that might be the next thing, that we also say, this would be our
So,
next.
May I ask which bathroom is remaining at the middle school that isn't already covered?
I don't have that map with me, but I'm gonna think that those bathrooms are ones that are seldom used or not maybe in operation at all right now, because I know we covered the ones that were most extensively used, but I can get you that map.
Just, you know, I'm just thinking, if every single lab's been updated except for one,
Every single,
if all of them have been updated and remodeled except for one, that's just the question. Is it student used? Is it, I don't know, is it one of the classroom hallways? Is it, do we know?
do you know, Mike?
I'll answer your question.
Thanks, Mike.
It is the 8th grade student bathrooms that have not been done yet, which is on the first floor,
Add those
which
up.
would be on the guidance side
Keep
of
getting
the
different
middle
amounts,
school,
Sam.
which is the first floor.
So it's in the main student hallway then?
Yes, it's in the main student hallways, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, add up that.
You know,
Why did I think we had done all the bathrooms? I don't know, I guess with the last allocation, but I guess there was always bathrooms.
I think the first round of
There are always
bathrooms,
bathrooms lurking
everybody was
somewhere.
thinking there was going to be 4, but there was only 2 end up being done. So there was a total of 4 been done the first round, but 2 at the middle school and 2 at the high school.
I remember that discussion.
So we still have 1 set of bathrooms at the middle school, which is at the 8th grade hallway.
Okay.
which is on the first floor.
And just to confirm, at the high school, all of the
1955,
main
that's right.
bathrooms are already covered?
Are already in this plan, yes.
In the plan and already in either being done or will be?
It'll be
very
done,
soon?
as Mr. Sanchoni said, Dr. Sanchoni said, it'll be done this school year.
Or more to the point, funded.
They're already funded
Yeah.
by the original 2
Yeah.
million.
Okay. Well, I would like to amend the motion and add that 200,000 to this list.
Which would bring it to 2,115,073.
Okay?
Okay, so a motion.
Can you say that total again, Deb? I'm sorry.
2,115,073.
Thank you.
So there's a motion to amend. Is there a second for the amendment?
I will second that amendment.
Okay, any discussion on the amendment itself, which is to add the last 2 bathrooms as a priority from our point of view to the town council?
Joe, would you type that in up there, middle school bathrooms, parentheses, 2?
Mr. Dakotas, any discussion on the amendment?
Well, I like the amendment. I am pretty sure that every time we've heard the council speak, they did bring up wanting to get those bathrooms done. I think that was pretty adamant, so I think it is a good idea to add it.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Mrs. Pava?
Once we get those bathrooms done, will all the bathrooms at the high school and the middle school be complete? Thank you.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Dr. Sanquioni, please clarify, because I know on the capital plan there were some single bathrooms that are still outstanding. Am I right? I'm sorry, I can't read. It's too small.
It's, the font is tiny.
Yeah.
Do you know?
You're
For
better off.
example, I have for the high school, gut renovate single toilet rooms, 12 of them for $400,000.
Yes, the bathrooms that, the single ones you're talking about are the teacher bathrooms,
Nurse's office.
the nurse's office, the main office bathrooms. You've got bathrooms in the, like the kitchen area. You got one in the kitchen area, you got 2 next to the cafeteria. Those will all be single bathrooms.
Also, those truly are
Julie that
single.
amount.
Yes.
They are.
Those are the single bathrooms. They're smaller. Right now, some of them have a stall, 2 stalls in them, but handicapped, they're not handicapped.
Yeah.
So there'd be a 1 stall, 1 sink because they're handicapped.
So I just want to make it very transparent, right, that we still have over $500,000 in bathroom work that's not even on the table here.
Again, it hasn't been prioritized by the building committee or the high school administration. These are bathrooms that are relatively in good condition. The usage hasn't been as much as the ones that get extensive use by our students. There's a lot to go into these buildings that need repair and to enhance
Well-
education.
And the building committee, they saw this list, right?
They
I
created
think you
this
said
list.
that?
They
Okay.
took this document and
Okay.
created this list based
Well,
upon
and
in-depth
I would
conversation.
also offer, I think any of us who have used some of these single one-offs, especially in the faculty room and all that, would differ on our opinion as to its condition. But I just want it transparent that there are still additional ones out there in the capital plan, and I don't want anybody to think that this is the end of the bathroom work. There is more.
That's a really good point, because we seem to find bathrooms with the frequency with which we used to talk about curtains, so.
That was really the point of the whole.
No, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I'll bring you the map of the middle school, high school, and I'll show you the bathrooms that are done and not completed then.
So it would be.
Or just make sure the building committee has that.
They
I
do.
mean, I'm,
I would have a number for the town council on Monday to say, this is what the full, you're sort of 1,000 cuts by keep on finding these bathrooms that have not renovated that may need it. So really understanding what the total number of bathrooms is and the
well, and
cost
this is
important.
sort of a priority list that, they, we don't know how much they're going to be able to allocate to the schools this go-around, and so
Right.
they may pick 1 or 2 and not all, so.
Yeah, no,
at
no,
least
I
At least
think-
gives choices.
That's absolutely the case, but it would also,
And I think the point was made that was pretty clear is, almost 650,000 of it is security. And in recent events, right, in the last even 6 months, we have to do that. We can't put that off. So as much as we'd like to finish all the bathrooms and everything, these security items have to be the priority. That's my opinion, but I don't think anyone would argue against security in the schools right now.
Okay, so we have an amendment to a motion on the floor, and I think we're at, Deb, any comments on the amendment?
Nope,
Which is,
I'm
again,
good
is
with
to
it.
add the
Nope, I'm good
$200,000
with
for
it. Yep.
remaining middle school bathrooms. Mr. Farley?
No, just reiterating my previous point that, renovating the bathrooms are very important to the
All right,
students.
so I'm going to ask for a vote on the amendment. This is to add the $200,000 to the main motion, which was allocating $1.9 million in priorities, or emphasizing $1.9 million to the town council. So Mrs., whatever your name is, Palish,
Yes.
Mrs. Farnworth,
Yes.
Mrs. Pava,
Yes.
Mr. Dakotas.
Yes.
And I vote yes. So now the motion on the floor is to recommend to the town council as our priorities, $200,000 in remaining middle school bathrooms, $700,000 roughly in security, and $1.2 million in renovation of the locker rooms at the high school.
Certainly the list as presented there.
And that total again,
$2
Ms. Palish, was 2115073?
15073. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll ask one more time for any discussion. Mr. Dakotas?
No.
Mrs. Pavo?
No.
Mrs. Farnworth?
I only have one comment, and just to advocate for the boys' toilet partitions. My first year on the committee,
It's up there.
I saw them. That's been 6 years. I can only imagine what they look like today,
Yeah.
if they were terrible 6 years ago.
It's there.
I know it's there.
Oh.
I'm just making a statement.
Okay.
I've been asking for these partitions for years, and I certainly hope that the town council considers them.
What are you doing in the boys' room? Mrs. Palish?
No, I'm all set.
Mr. Farley?
No, thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask for a vote. Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes.
Mrs. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So that is our recommendation. And do we want to make any other, I mean, we have this total list, so they can, I guess, pick and choose other things if they are feeling
No, the only.
generous.
My understanding is the only thing that's going to them is what's listed there, not this full list.
So the question is, do we want to
I do not.
add anything as a second priority? Okay,
I do not. I'm just speaking for me.
okay. Ms. Farnworth? You always have an opinion.
I would like to limit it to this list. I think as the caretakers of the school district, it really is incumbent upon us to come up with the list of what we feel are the highest priorities for our district.
Okay, Mrs. Pava?
No.
And
What's
Mr.
up?
Dakotas?
Was the question, do we want to add anything further than this?
Yeah, if they, they say, we want to give you $10 million.
Well, I would say this is good for.
Aspirational.
Yeah, I think this list is good to present by itself.
Okay. Then I believe we are done with that item unless anyone has anything else to say. Speak now or forever hold your peace. We're moving on to the next item, which is sort of item 4B, discuss meeting dates on September 13th, 2022, which is primary day, and November 8th, 2022, which is election day. Dr. Sanquioni?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you've identified the issue when you set the school committee calendar, certainly done earlier last year, not knowing that these dates were going to be part of the district-wide calendar. So the schools are closed on those days, doesn't prevent you from having the meeting, but I just certainly want to call it to your attention. We'd have to bring in a custodian and make some arrangements to have the meetings, or you could certainly switch it, certainly your prerogative.
I'll open the floor to discussion on the part of the committee. Mr. Dakotas?
So I actually mentioned this to Dr. Sanquioni, so I mean, I'm okay with primary day, that's just me. The other date was the election, correct, in November? Yeah, that one, I would say absolutely to move that to like the day before, the day after, whatever, would be good with the committee.
I agree.
Ms. Pavo?
I agree. I don't have a problem with primary, but
Mr. Chairman?
regular.
Yep.
I just want to, again, I just spoke to our Director of Maintenance, and you probably know this, the high school is a voting site, so actually the building will be open. We will have custodians here for that purpose. So just know that if you decide to meet, you'll be with that traffic and that flow, but obviously you're in here and they're in the gymnasium.
We welcome them in.
Well, the polls close at 8. And that's for both days, correct?
That is correct.
So it's not an issue of the custodians?
Nope.
It's really just
An
traffic or whatever.
I'm a big proponent, I like to watch the election like a sporting event, so I would like to be home, I'll just throw that out there.
Or
Well,
trench warfare.
May I make a suggestion for the November one? We've been known in the past, in November in particular, to perhaps move our meeting to mid-month and just hold one because of
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. We might want to just make those changes in advance, get them published, and move on.
Yeah. So November may be the easiest to deal with and just say we have a meeting on the 15th. And that be our only meeting.
Right.
I think we've done it before.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
We have
We probably have.
in years past.
All right. Is everybody in agreement with that? Deb, you're okay with that? Mike, okay.
Yes, I'm good with that.
So I'll make a motion that we move the November 8th meeting to the 15th. Do we actually need a motion for that? Do we need to vote?
Sure, make a motion. We voted to approve the calendar to begin with.
All right.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Take a vote. Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
Ms. Farnworth?
Yes.
Ms. Pavo?
Yes,
Mr. Dakotas?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So the 8th is moved to the 15th. And then what do you want to do about September?
I think we should just leave September as it is. I mean, it's primary.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd either rather leave it as it is, or just move it ahead a day or back a day, Monday or Wednesday, but I don't know what works for the people.
I think Mondays are going to be tough because
Yeah.
town council meets on Mondays.
Okay,
Yeah, I would
Is-
actually leave September alone, too.
Yeah.
okay.
So if anyone would like to make a motion otherwise, speak now or forever hold your peace. I'm moving on. So item 5A, structural deficit discussion. So, last time we met, we had sort of an outline of data that we would want and a calendar that Diane had sort of put together, which I thought was a great way of thinking about it and trying to approach it. So we have some information from Amy, and you're going to go over, I think, where we were with FY '22, Ms. Roderick, or do you want to go? Should I call on you? Go ahead.
If you would like to call me.
It's your item.
So I'm going to ask that we review the data requests again.
Okay?
I'm going to say that while we have received in bits and pieces some of the information we've requested, we still have a number of things outstanding. And what I would like to do is to have everything in a package, if you will, for our discussion at our next meeting, if it all can be prepared by that time in the format that we've requested. And if you want, I can go through some of it again, and some of the information sent over to us does contain this data. I think one of the issues I had is, in some cases, we have multiple pages for things that can be condensed into a little bit more of a finite format. Additionally, some of the things are still not here, i.e. the fund balance history, the Medicare history, the enrollment numbers, et cetera. And I would like us to perhaps, for these discussions, have all of the information in front of us that we've requested. And we can certainly go over these requests, and if anyone has any additional ones, we can talk to that. But be more prepared with one packet that we receive in advance of the meeting that we have actually asked for, in the format that we've requested.
Well, I have provided the Medicaid history, the fund balance history.
The Medicaid history and the fund balance history I had asked for on one page.
Okay.
With very simple pieces of it. The normal Medicaid report was sent to us, yes. And that was sent to us, I think, on Friday, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was. The regular fund balance isn't there, and I think both
The regular fund
pieces-
balance is there.
I didn't notice
It most
that.
certainly is there. I provided to be included in the packet a history of the fund balance from July 1st of 2018 through the end of
If I'm wrong, I take
2022.
it back, but I don't remember seeing
I
it.
don't see it either.
Okay, well, I submitted it to be included. So,
And again, because these discussions are slated to take place over time, could I ask that we have a package that we can perhaps add to as we move on? And that it not be part of the regular meeting package, but that it would be its own file? That if you, okay, so we have the same reports that you're seeing every time, but if we add a new one, it gets added, or if we change something, it gets changed, but it's just for this structural deficit discussion. If anyone has an objection to that thought, I'm fine. Or if anyone has any thoughts regarding the requests, I'm okay. I just really would like us to have everything in place before we start these discussions.
I do agree with having everything in place. I am not seeing some of the things you mentioned, but that could be because it came separate from the packet. And Diane, I appreciate that you've sort of taken the lead on this. So, I mean, I'm fine if you want to coordinate the information and sort of lead the discussion as you see fit. I appreciate very much you trying to, get this going and keeping us on track. But I guess I agree. I'm not seeing all the information, but I could have missed some emails.
I don't think we did get the fund balance. Yeah, so am I again.
it's called, the file name is entitled Reserves Analysis.
Yeah, I don't think that ever came
didn't get
across.
that.
Okay, well, I did provide it.
Okay, all right.
But again, all I'm asking for in the case of the fund balance is really this simple. It's not that we need as much detail as we would for budgeting purposes. This is really just the structural deficit discussion so that we can look at the trends and say, okay, we saw this huge jump on this year or this huge decline on this year. To say, okay, well, this might be part of our problem or a way we can fix it. It's really just the
I
point.
understand, but I did provide that in one of the files, and it went back 10 years. So it's the TSD funding history, and it does have all...
And again, I would also prefer it not be in legal. I'd like
It's-
everything on 8.5 by 11 if possible, so that we can all perhaps put this in a folder and keep it.
So for clarity's sake, Mr. Chairman, the
Yes.
the formats that you provided, Ms. Fonza, that's simply where you want the data?
That's it. It really
Okay.
isn't difficult.
No, we just have to transfer it from the documentation we have, no problem.
And I'm sure that what you probably have internally,
covers it.
or you use internally could very well be different than, what the way that Mrs. Farnworth is trying to help us understand it, and we certainly understand that, but I think Diane's trying to take the lead for the board discussion, correct?
No, the data's there. I
The
mean,
da-
As you know, we have everything you put on
And I'm
these
prepared to
forms.
speak to all of it.
Yeah, and I know you gave us the 10 years, and that was per Dr. Larkin's ask.
That was-
And
yes.
that was absolutely. So if we can just have it condensed a little bit so that it can,
So
We don't need the percents, let's keep it to the basic.
So Diane, can you coordinate with the administration, like a package for us? And then once you're good with it, make sure that we have it so that we can start this discussion? I mean, I don't want to put that on you, but are you already doing
I
that?
can.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Do you have?
I'd just like to say I did put an extraordinary amount of work into providing this information, and I'm happy to do it, and I'm prepared to speak to it. And I'm, I guess, frustrated that right now the only complaint comes down to format.
And simplicity of data, really. You gave us actually more than what we need. And I think for the purposes of discussion, less is better. That's all.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is that not only do we have to get our heads around this stuff, and the numbers have to, and the way I think that the charts that Diane had created would help us do that without necessarily being distracted by other things in the way it was presented. And I understand and appreciate all the work that had to go into it. I think, though, that we have to understand it. We also have to be able to present it to the community, to the town council, ultimately, about kind of where we are and why we are there. And in some ways, that's the first step that then may allow us to drill down and to find out, okay, well, was this part of the reason that we got where we are? And, was there something we should have done differently or can do differently in the future? So maybe what our goal for next meeting on the 13th is to have it in those sort of formats, because in some ways,
I'm happy to review
yeah.
in advance,
Yeah.
if you think that'll help.
No problem. The data's there. Just got to plug it
Okay.
into the whole
All right.
document. No problem.
Mrs. Pavo, anything?
Oh.
Mr. Dakotas?
No.
So I think that is where we need to go now, is sort of get it in that format, and we can take it up again next time.
Dr. Larkin, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I will also throw this out to the members of the committee. Are there any pieces of data that we haven't already requested, perhaps, that you think I may have missed? Because I am certainly not alone. It was the 5-year historical uses and sources of funds. In other words, where are we getting the money from? What are we using it for? And what are our one-time, and I know all of this is in some of the documentation, just not in this format. The appropriations history, how much came from the town, how much was state aid, et cetera. And I had requested 5 years. Dr. Larkin asked that it be bumped up to 10, and I know she has.
Okay.
The 5-year fund balance history, both for regular and Medicaid, just showing beginning and ending balances, any additions and reductions in total, not at any kind of detailed level. And 5-year enrollment. It's important for us to understand where the enrollment has gone over the last 5 years. And certainly, if you feel it's better to, give us 10, fine. But this was what I was thinking we would need.
How about the current FY22? We ended up.
And that needs to be part of the discussion as well.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything else?
Certainly sounds like a fantastic start.
Okay. So our next meeting is on the 13th, and then we have a meeting on the 27th. And next is item number 7, unless anything else about any of our meetings or agenda topics. Okay, I'm going to ask for motion to move into executive session under Rhode Island General Law 42465A1, job performance, character, physical or mental health, superintendent goals and evaluations.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second, I'm sorry.
I'll ask for a roll call vote. Mrs. Palish?
Yes.
Ms. Farnworth?
Yes.
Mrs. Pavo?
Yes?
Mr. Dakota?
Yes.
And I vote yes, we're in executive session.